after about 2 weeks with that company that I was pulling for, let me back up a little bit. After my third load on the way back, I'm calling a dispatch to get a fourth load, and they tell me there isn't any. Call back in a few hours. Okay, I get it. So I call back in a few hours and I get a load. This is, going to New Jersey. Okay, fine. I got no problem with that. So I take the load, I drop it off. I'm coming back on Friday. I call up to set up one on Monday. I'm going to do the 34-hour reset at home. And nobody answers. Just goes to voicemail. Okay. So, hold on, there's a cop on the side of the road. So it just goes to voicemail. Okay, so that's fine. So I wait until I get home, 6 o'clock at night or something. I send a text message to the dispatcher. I said I need a load on Monday. I get no response all weekend. I'm still fighting this Black Death or whatever that I had. And so Monday comes around and I'm not feeling 100%. So I said, you know what? I'll call and get a load for Tuesday and get another day relaxing at the house. And so I call. They don't have anything. Okay. Should I call back later? Yeah, sure. So I call back later, same thing. We don't have anything. So I call back again on Tuesday. We don't have anything. And at this point, it ain't gonna happen. I'm not, I'm trying to make some money here, not hang around at the house. So I called up another company, and they had their orientations on Wednesday. So I drove out there and did my orientation and all that stuff. And it's a 2-day process, their orientation. So orientation and your first load. When you start with a new company, you're gonna have an orientation, and it's I've done it twice, 2 different companies. One, it was very informal, just me and one guy, just me and the guy doing the orientation. It was a few hours getting the truck together and doing trailer inspection and all that, and getting hooked up, and some of the company rules, how to get paid and all that. Very short, very sweet. It was great. The second one was for a much larger company. Actually 10 times as big. They had like 70 drivers with that company. They got like 700 with this one. It was not formal, but it wasn't as relaxed of an atmosphere. It was very clean. We had a classroom. You meet at a hotel on day one at 8 in the morning or whatever. You got to have all your paperwork squared away. They'll send you the information in the mail, what you got to do, but or in an email, not in the mail. So you show up for the orientation, and basically for this one, the whole first day was nothing but the rules for the company and how to set everything up and all your papers and different rules and regulations and crap like that. And then the second day, in the morning, you went and hooked up to a trailer, did a road test, which was super easy, just drive around the block. And then we went back to the hotel to finish up some classwork, and that was all about logging your hours, and then they had a little written test. If you've never done this before, you're thinking about doing it, the thing I can say is, before you even consider it, download the app called Keep Trucking and log your hours at work. Wherever you work, McDonald's, or if you're on Wall Street, whatever the heck you do, just log your hours like you normally would. You get up, you do a 15-minute on-duty inspection or on-duty non-driving, and then you get in your car like you're going to work, change it to driving, drive to work, stay on driving while you're at work. When you go to lunch, you go to trip inspection kind of simulator, and then log off duty while you're at home. And that'll get you at least an idea of how it works. I mean, we spent hours and people just could not understand how it works. And it's pretty simple once you understand it, but getting to understand it, it's confusing. So I understand, but for me it was kind of frustrating. Like, hey, I just want to go get a trailer. Let's go. And you're waiting, and everybody's asking a million questions and the same question a million different ways. So that's pretty much how orientation goes. And then you go back to the office and you pick your load, go pick it up, and then off you go. For me, it was a little bit different because during the orientation they had somebody come from the insurance company because you need non-trucking liability insurance, and he told me it was like a third of the price of what I'm paying now. And I was like, well, yeah, sign me up. And he's like, okay. So we filled out all the application crap and all that. He's like, well, I'll send you an email. And I never got the email. He never sent the email. The guy was just worthless. So the whole next day, I'm waiting on the email, and I never got the email, and I didn't even get a phone number or business card or anything from the guy. So when I finally went to the office, I told them what was going on, so then they called the insurance company, and it turns out the guy was just blowing smoke up my ass and completely wasting my time. It took me 5 minutes to call up my current company and change the certificate holder, which is, the company you're working for who gets paid, basically. It was a 5-minute conversation to get that fixed, and it was done. And then I was able to get on the load board and start looking at, what loads were available. And I went and talked to the dispatcher. Being that it was Thursday night, around 5 o'clock at this time, 4:30, we were trying to get a short load so I could drop something off Friday, come back, and then pick up a long load to drop off Monday. So she found me a load going to Iowa or something. I would have had no problem, getting there by middle of the day, Friday, before they, closed or whatever. But the problem, so I looking at the paperwork, and it's just as much my fault as it was hers. I didn't pay attention to what the trailer was. So I go to the yard. It was in row 16 or whatever. I pull up to row 16, and they're all fifth wheels. Well, I don't have a fifth wheel hitch on the truck, so I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I drive all the way down the row and drive up and down the next couple rows, and they're all fifth wheels. So I'm like, okay. So I find the number, the serial number, the one that I'm supposed to get, and it is definitely a fifth wheel. I look at my paperwork, and sure enough, it says right on the paperwork, it's a fifth wheel. I'm like, well, shoot, So at this time, it was after 5. And I was concerned that she wasn't there. Fortunately, during orientation, she always stays a couple hours later dealing with all this stuff. So she was able to get me another trailer, and this one, the dealer has Saturday delivery, so it's down in Georgia or whatever. But yeah, so that's basically how your orientation and your first load is going to go for most companies. At least the two companies I was with, it was very similar.